Hi, I'm Selin, and I'm excited to welcome all of you to my Composers Now Impact Talk. Thank you so much to Tanya Leone and the team at Composers Now for having me as part of this series. I'm really looking forward to sharing a few of my recent compositions and also talking about some of the projects that I have coming up in the next year or so. I'm a composer, violist, and vocalist based in New York City, and I grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania, not too far away, where I helped my parents take care of a cemetery, and also listened to my mother playing songs on scordatura guitar that she wrote. And so there's definitely a connection to the earth and to song and melody that I carry with me in all of what I do to this day. I find a lot of inspiration from my work as a violist and a vocalist. I'm a founding member of the band Gotta Do, and I'm also a member of the string quartet Xanthoria Quartet, which you'll be hearing, both of which you'll be hearing in just a moment. I also thought it would be interesting and fun to include some of the people I've been collaborating with recently, since that's such a big part of the creative process, working with other musicians and bouncing ideas off of each other. I'm going to start out with a very new recording of a piece I composed just a couple years ago called The Third Reality. It's my first string quartet, and this piece was composed kind of during the aftermath of a serious accident that my father had at work that involved a serious brain injury. And so the piece explores some of the process, some of his experiences in the wake of that incident. Fortunately, he survived and he's doing really well. But the third reality is a term that he coined when he was hallucinating in the hospital after multiple brain surgeries, to describe this kind of shadowy alternate reality that he found himself in, where his surroundings could change unexpectedly, and he would find himself in places that seemed familiar but were not recognizable. The piece has a lot of darkness and a lot of joy, and it also explores this musical quotation in various guises throughout the piece, although maybe not so much in the part that I'm sharing with you today. So what you'll listen to is an excerpt from the third movement, Mercurial Dream Time. This is really the Dream Time section. And it's performed really beautifully by my friends and colleagues in Xanthoria Quartet, Abby Swidler, Kate Goddard on violins, and Alexandra Jones on cello, as well as myself on viola. Thanks for listening. The next piece I'd like to share with you today is Pieces of Place Chesapeake. This is a recent composition, and it's the first in a large series of pieces for chamber ensembles and electronics. that explore the effects of global warming on places that I and many others have called home. In the pre-compositional stage for each of these pieces, I'm doing a lot of research in person if possible, but also by learning about the geology, geological, human, ecological, and other histories of each place. The peninsula on which I composed Pieces of Place Chesapeake is projected to be submerged by rising sea levels by about the year 3000. This performance is by the Temple University New Music Ensemble, conducted by Jen Kuzwicki, and featuring special guest guitarist Aaron Bobis. The next piece I'd like to share with you is Dream Journal, a recent composition that was commissioned by Chromic Duo, a toy piano, and electronics duo. So we composed this piece in a completely remote collaboration during the COVID-19 lockdowns. And during the month of January 2021, each of us recorded our dreams, hence the title of the piece, and then shared them with each other. And this kind of blurring together across time and space of our unconscious experiences is really the basis for this piece. And the piece also is an attempt to kind of like delve into the isolation that so many people felt this year during the lockdowns, and also finding light in the ways that we can connect even while we're physically distant, through our dreams and our imaginations and through our care for each other. So you'll hear a little bit more about our collaboration in the second half of the video, where I've included some footage from a recent conversation I had with Chromic Duo.
I feel like when you dream, when you tell me your dreams, there's no need to even fall back asleep. I awake when the birds are alive and they pass me their song. They tell me what you're dreaming of. I dream of accentuated realities of the everyday, and I wake up almost trying to go underneath the surface of what I actually
As I approach the box, I realize it's like a tank filled with some sort of liquid. And I dip my hands into it to stir it around. It felt like what it would feel like to dip my hands into an oiled tiny
So I'm here with Chromic Duo tonight, and I'm really excited to speak with both of you really briefly. First, I just wanted to hear a little bit from you, Dorothy and Lucy, about how you formed as a duo and some of your influences, and also what you're excited about now and in the future.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we were founded in the hallway of a conservatory to not be named because we don't like leaving favorites. But I remember being drawn to the toy piano and Dorothy carrying it, and it just became like the natural connection of us wanting to improvise and figure out what the possibilities could be of incorporating toy piano into existing things, but then also trying to find our own voice too, which I didn't know that there was a voice to be found. So that's a really exciting thing to be able to go between synths and electronics and going into the pandemic and being forced to think about how we can connect and do things virtually and going into augmented reality and working with filmmakers and dancers. And it just kind of was a beautiful roller coaster that has gone off the train tracks. And here we are tumulting down into the dream journal. And I'll let Dorothy talk about what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, that's a great way of summarizing how we are and where we are. And I think our curiosity in all things really brought us together. So yeah, looking forward, we are having a couple more projects that has to do with AR. One of them has to do with an initiative with Chinatown, and that would be dropping at around, I think, end of September this coming year, 21st of September. And another project that we're going to also be doing will be an album. I've always been someone who dreamed very crazy stuff. Sometimes it's really fun, or sometimes it's really serious, and I just kind of never documented it. So this process of me waking up and trying to write down everything and put having a goal of us coming together and sharing them has been really personal. And I remember us talking about Hannah, that you also felt that this created a personal touch to this composing process.
The last thing I'd like to share with you today is kind of a glimpse into the creative process for a piece that I'm currently composing for soprano Stephanie Lamprella. You'll hear more about the piece and get to know Stephanie a little bit in our conversation, and we'll launch into that right now.
My name is Stephanie Lamprella. I'm a classical soprano who specializes in contemporary and avant-garde performance repertoire. Hannah and I met a couple of years ago when I was a resident artist at Temple University, and she wrote a piece for me called Meditation on 82, a piece for voice and electronics. And this year, I've curated and recorded an album called Quaking Aspen, which is a nature-related album based on nature poetry. I've commissioned Hannah to write me a work based on a poem by Hilda Doolittle, commonly known as HD. And we've been working on that the past few weeks, and I'll be recording midday in end of July. looking at this, it could be a little bit like, whoa. But like the way you've created patches, like for me, like with this and the with Meditation on 82, it's not only like very user friendly and like very like easy to look at once you can sort of explain the categories, but it lends itself to such musicality. It's something that was so nice in performing Meditation on 82, being able to not only improvise with the voice, but really improvise with like the placement of like these effects and placements of these sounds. It wasn't something that I expected when working with live electronics. It was definitely a pleasant surprise.
Well, this brings us to the end of my Composers Now Impact Talk. I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to share my story and my music with all of you. And I'd like to thank Tanya Leon and Composers Now once again for inviting me to be part of the Impact series. You should definitely check out more of these Impact Talks and keep tuning in to the Composers Now YouTube channel, because there are incredible composers from around the country and around the world publishing talks about their music regularly. If you're interested in checking out any of the pieces in full, or the ensembles or soloists or any of the awesome people involved in this talk, please visit the links below. And to finish up, I just thought it would be fun to share a sneak peek from the next Gotta Do album, which will be coming out in early 2022. This is a rare chance. I don't think anyone has had the chance yet to hear this finished version of this song. This is the opening track from our third album, and it's called Cicadas. It's a song that I wrote, and the musicians involved are myself singing, playing viola, Nikki Adams on synth and piano, Ayumi Ishido on tenor saxophone, Patrick Adams on trumpet, Daniel Stein on bass, and Arthur Vint on drums. Thanks so much.
shimmer